Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mind the Mental Monday. Um, I know it's been a few weeks since we have done Mind the Mental Monday. Um, so I am excited to be back. I was doing some traveling for a little bit, and then I ended up, when I came back from a trip outside of the country, I ended up getting sick. And, I always tell y'all, right? Like, mental health is health. It's a part of your overall health. And so if you're not, and so when you're not feeling physically well, it can impact your mental health as too. So um, I opted to, I opted to, take some time off and rest because my body just needed it. So I had planned to return last Monday, but my body said otherwise, and so I am learning to listen to this body because you only get one, and God only knows the amount of time that you have to put it to use. So while we're here and while we are, called to do the various things that we are called to do, um, it will behoove us to take care of these bodies. And so I'm happy to be back tonight. And tonight, I'm going to talk about a few things, but my main topic tonight is, minding the mental in times like these. And I'm going to, sort of waiting for people to hop on. Um, Sometimes it's hard getting people back once you once once you kind of miss a couple of weeks. I've been trying to be really consistent in doing Mind the Mental Monday. Uh, but whenever I don't, it's for a good reason. And whenever I don't, it is usually to take care of me. And so, I don't make any apologies for that. All right. So, minding the mental in times like these, why that topic? Why that topic tonight? Um, the first thing I want to talk about is, minding the mental in our current political climate. And as I begin to talk about that, the first thing I want to do is to encourage everyone to vote. I hope that you are registered. I hope that you have made a voting plan wherever you live. I hope that you are not only a part of the process for yourself, but I hope that you are encouraging your family members, your friends, your loved ones, anybody out here talking about they not voting, or, make sure that you encourage them to utilize the power of the vote. It is the reason that we have a democracy in this country. And while, yes, it is true historically, there are many groups that were left out of that process. But now that we are a part of the process, it would behoove us to utilize the power of the vote to get people in office that are going to look out for our best interest. Is anybody that we elect, are we ever going to have a perfect candidate? No, we're not. I mean, that just doesn't exist, right? A perfect human does not exist. And so we have to do our due diligence. And it's not enough to just sort of sit idly by and just hear stuff on TikTok or, on social media or any media platform. It's not enough to just sit idly by and just soak in information and just believe everything that we hear. Like we have to do our due diligence as voters to be informed voters and to actually seek out the truth. And now it's so much easier to do that, right? Because we're able to just easily kind of put things in, search engines, and we're able to, find what is true. Go to sites that we know we can actually trust to give us correct information. So I really want to encourage you to do your due diligence and utilize the power of the vote. Um, you know, it's not too late in most places, but it's getting to be there, right? There's 2 weeks, 2 weeks from tomorrow, is election day. I see that in Georgia and other places where the early vote has already started, that there are millions of people already voting, which is a good sign. It's a good sign for our democracy. And so I really just want to encourage you that this election is a serious matter. It is one that we cannot play with. And so encourage your loved ones, and those people, your friends and your coworkers and whomever, uh, to get out and vote. All right. So, but I want to talk a little bit about, just minding the mental in this, in the environment, this political environment in which we find ourselves. And we've been in this environment now since I think 2016, really, maybe a little before that, maybe 2015, um, leading up to that 2016 election, and just the vitriol and the hatred and the just all the things is really wearing on us. I think just as an entire world, really, because um, what we do here in the United States impacts the world, because we are the world, we are the leaders of the free world. So what happens over here matters overseas in other places. And so people overseas are watching us. They often look to us for guidance and direction. And so it is important that we take that role seriously, um, and really think about who we are putting into office. When we allow people in to have have the highest office in the land, who only care about themselves, who only care about their padding their own pockets, who only care about trying to keep themselves out of jail, who really don't care about anybody but themselves, who make a mockery of our democracy. When people look at us and they see that we as Americans allowed that to happen once, I mean, we really can't afford to allow that to happen again. Um, it matters, it really does matter. Um, and as we are going through this process, there's so much anxiety around this election. There's so much just concern. And I have to say, as an African American, as a woman, as a woman who is a mother to African American children and African American grandchildren, I'm concerned. I am concerned. Um, And the one thing that strengthens me in all of the concern that I have about what takes place after this, during and after this upcoming election is my faith. If I didn't have a strong faith, and if I didn't like trust that God's got my back and got our back and is going to take care of us, I would be like pulling my hair out right now. Um, but what good would that do, right? And so the one thing that I can do, the one thing that I can control is I can encourage other people to get out here and vote, to take this election seriously. Maya Angelou said that when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And we can see and have seen who the candidates are. Anybody who is still talking about, oh, they need more information about somebody, oh, they're not sure about so and so. Come on now. We know who they are. And so it it we have a responsibility, not just for us, but for the next generations. I think about my two granddaughters. You know, I have, as their grandmother, I have a responsibility to let them see a Black woman who was willing to stand um, up for what she believes in, and who is going to take part in this democratic process. I don't want them, you know, saying, "Oh, Gma didn't vote." No, they're not going to be able to say that. No, they're going to be able to go to their great grandparents, who who showed me, you know, to get into that election booth, to research the candidates, to be an informed voter. So we've only got 2 weeks, y'all. We got to get out of here. So, you know, my folks in Maryland, my home people, my folks in Georgia, what I consider my second home. Atlanta is my second home. My folks in North Carolina, these are all like states that I've lived in. And my folks here in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania, where my church is. I live in New Jersey, but my church is in Pennsylvania. So I have a stake in all of these different states. Listen, I need y'all to get out and vote. We can't play with it. And as we are going through this process, when it comes to minding the mental and taking care of our mental health, we also need to intentionally sort of take breaks from it. And so, you know, we have a 24-hour news cycle. We have to disconnect from that sometimes for a period of time. Like, it's important for us to be informed about the news and what's happening in our communities and what's happening in, you know, where we live and in our country. But we cannot be inundated, allow ourselves to be inundated with it. We, you know, find out the information you need to find out to make an informed decision, do your due diligence as a citizen to vote, but you do not have to just allow yourself to be just inundated with the 24-hour news cycle 24 hours a day. I'm going to encourage you to unplug from that stuff sometimes and do something, watch something mindless, you know, watch something that can just really kind of take your mind off of it for a little bit. Do the things that you have power to do, but the things that you don't have power to do, let that go and just allow yourself to breathe. Allow yourself to, you know, just take some deep breaths and take walks and do all the things that I'm always encouraging us to do to be mindful and take care of our mental health as we're going through this process. So you know, we are living in some tough times right now. It is, you know, we're living in a time where, and it's not necessarily that the division wasn't necessarily always there, but it's just in our face now, 24 hours. And so so it's like we're taking it in constantly. So we have to then take responsibility for our own mental health and sort of pull ourselves away from those that toxicity that we allow to be ourselves to be bombarded with on a day-to-day basis. Hey Shania. Hey Zora Shania, I'm just seeing you. I don't know if you're still there or not, but it's good to see you. I'm sorry, I hate that I missed you guys during homecoming this year. Um, but maybe next year. Anyway, so I really just want to encourage us to, as this really is a serious time for us as a country. It's always a serious time. And so it's not only serious when it's a presidential election, it is a serious time when we're electing people in our local elections. It's a serious time when we are electing people to the Senate and to Congress, because we know that the president can only go as far very often as Congress allows, right? That's that system of checks and balances that we have. And so that means that we not only need a president who is going to fight for us and who is going to look out for our greatest needs, we also need people in those seats in the Senate and in Congress who are looking out for our best interests. And so we have to make sure that we vote in every cycle, every election cycle. There's always an election going on. I live in a community. I live in a small township, and so very often on the ballot we'll have like one person. We'll have people just running unopposed because yeah, it's a small town and not too many people really get involved in the nitty gritty of like running for office. But the ones that are running and that I do have an opportunity to make a choice about, sometimes I haven't done my due diligence to, I'll get to the ballot and be like, I don't know any of these people. I don't know what they've done. I don't know their record. So make yourself an informed voter. Go on the website of your state.gov or us.gov and look for the people that are representing you. Find out what they are voting for. Find out, what what their record is for the policies that are created that then impact our day-to-day lives. So let's just not be lackadaisical in this. Let's make sure that we're informed and we're doing our due diligence. Let's make sure that we also do our due diligence with our mental health and unplug from it for a period of time, um, but not forever. And let's do the things that we need to do in order to make this a better nation for all of us. All right. Okay. So the other piece that I want to talk about tonight with minding the mental, that was one. This is minding the mental in times like these. It's not just times like these dealing with our political climate, but it's also times like these in your personal life, whatever that might be. And one of the things I thought about as so my husband, who is the organizer and pastor of Vision of Hope Baptist Church in Jenkintown, Pennsylvania. If you're ever in the neighborhood, come on out and check us out. Um, our services are at 10 o'clock a.m. on Sunday mornings. But he's on a sermon series that, is talking about how to be encouraged in discouraging times. That's not the exact title, but that's really what he's talking about. And yesterday he was preaching and he was talking about how it makes us feel, how discouraged we can be when we find ourselves in situations where we have loved ones that are facing a hard time. Like we might have a loved one that's facing some kind of illness, and we feel helpless to do anything about it. And just the impact, that has on our mental health and on our ability to be encouraged. Because when you feel like you love somebody and you really want the best for them, and you feel like Like, you almost wanna do anything, especially, like, if it's your child and you know and your child is going through something, like, you just want to, like you wanna take the pain from them and just bear it yourself, but you can't do that, right? They have to kind of figure things out, they have to learn how to navigate this thing called life for themselves. You might have a parent that's going through, that is aging and is dealing some of the things that come along with older that can come along with older age, for example, dementia, which is something that my husband and I are personally dealing with right now. Um and you see the pain that your loved one is going through and you just want to take it, and it really impacts your mental health. And I think the thing that I want to say about that is when it's something that you know that you don't have any control over, the thing you have to do is to own it. You sort of have to sort of recognize um, and allow yourself to feel however it is that you feel. Allow yourself, don't sort of come down on yourself because you feel like you should be able to do more for your loved one. There are times where that's just not possible. I remember, long, before my mom passed, a few years before that, because of the disease that she had, Huntington's disease, my siblings, we really had to, make the really hard decision um, to have mom moved to an assisted living facility. And that's never an easy decision to make. But what we found was that, and I'll have to give kudos to my sister who did the lion's share of caring for my mom. Um, it was very, very hard to come to that decision, but what we came to realize is that if we didn't make that decision, mom wouldn't have been able to get the kind of care that she actually needed. That sort of 24-hour, 24/7, round the clock care. She was falling. There were several times that we had to call 911 to get somebody to come and pick her back, get her picked up. Um, it was just more than we were able to handle. And so, we had to make the decision that we not only needed for her to be kept safe, we also needed for us to be kept safe as we're caring for her. Um, because then if something happens and we get injured, then what's going to happen, right? Like at least if she's someplace where um, people have the medical skills needed to care for her, then, our part is making sure that somebody is there, one of us is there, on a daily basis to make sure that the facility is doing what they're supposed to do and to be an advocate in the times where we might need to be an advocate. And so sometimes you just have to make those kinds of decisions. That's really hard. And then, I also learned in that process because I think, prior to that, I was one of those kinds of people who would be, negative toward people who put their parents or loved ones into a nursing facility. It's one thing if you put them in there and you just leave them, right? Um, but it's another thing when they're there because they need that extra layer of safety, and you're still going to be there and you're still going to be staying on top of things. It's a whole different thing. And so what I learned from that is to not judge, not make judgments about people and about their decisions, to do what they might consider to be the best that they can do for their loved one. When you're not living with a person, you're not in a person's shoes. It's important um, that you continue to um, to love that person, but you might have to make some decisions. Let's give some grace to people that have to make those kinds of decisions, and give some grace to yourself, especially when you know that you're doing the very best that you can do. When you put forth a valiant effort, to make make it possible to keep, your loved ones safe in the best way that you know how. And if it no longer works and you're having to make another decision, um, give yourself some grace in that process. Because I think very often we come down on ourselves for it. And, um, you know, our loved ones will understand that you're really, you're wanting the best for them. Um, and so, in times like these, I don't know what your times like these are, right? I don't know what you might personally be going through in this time, in this season of your life. I hope that everything is going great and everything is going wonderful. But if it's not, and you're in a place where you feel like you don't really know what to do, or you feel helpless to do anything about whatever the situation is that you might be going through, I want you to give yourself some grace. I want you to own that, just own it. I you know, I don't like where I'm at right now because I want to do something about the situation, but I don't know what to do. Um, See if you can seek out help, somebody else that might be able to offer some assistance in whatever it is that you're going through. Of course, I'm always a proponent of therapy. If you need a therapist, or if there are other kinds of resources that you're not sure about, there's always a myriad of resources out there. So, for example, in the example that I just gave in dealing with a parent who is aging, I think most states have some kind of center on aging, or something on aging, or a website that you can go to that allows you to see what the resources are, that might be available to you and your loved one. If you're having some kind of an issue with a child, or a teenager that might be going through some things and you're not really sure what to do, you feel, as a parent, you feel powerless and helpless. um, Again, seek out those resources that might help your help you in whatever your child is going through. Talk to their doctor. Talk to, look into whatever your public health facilities that are in your neighborhood, or in your city, your state. And just try to seek out, what's available for you. You could even use something like Chat GPT, the free version, and like just put in there, I'm a single mom with a child who has X, Y, and Z, and I need, resources to help my child, whatever the case might be. Like, you can just put that in there, and it'll spit out a list of resources in your area. You can put your zip code in there, you know, um, and so utilize the technology that we have available to us nowadays that we didn't have available before. Um, but also utilize those resources for yourself. I've mentioned before that, sometimes it'll help to get into a support group with other people who might be going through the same or similar challenges that you might be facing. A lot of times we go through things alone. And we kind of put ourselves in this bubble. It's like, oh, I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to be a burden on anyone. But you're not being a burden seeking care for yourself. So even if, for example, you don't feel comfortable going to maybe like a family member or something, look at the other resources out there and, look for those communities that fit similar things that you might be going through and get into one of those support groups. You might be surprised to find that there are people that are going through the same kinds of things that you're going through. And sometimes just knowing that you're not the only one, sometimes just knowing that you're not by yourself in this thing called life is enough to give you encouragement and energy to push through, to take another step, to make it another day, as hard as things might be, it can give you just that extra boost that you might need to carry on in this life. And so don't give up on yourself. Um, Allow yourself to encourage yourself sometimes when you feel like others in your life might not be stepping up to that plate. um, you need to find another community because sometimes our family and our friends aren't necessarily the ones who are meant to be the ones that really um, help us through certain situations. Sometimes our family and our friends just really don't get it. They really they because they maybe haven't gone through those things themselves. They may not really fully understand the impact of what we might be going through in times like these. And so I'm encouraging you that when you don't feel like you have that community, you may have to go outside of your community. You may have to go outside of your current friend group or your current um, family group to have the needs met that you have. And there's no shame in your game. It's not saying that you don't love your family. It doesn't say that you don't love your friends. It doesn't say that, you're not going to be able to still knock on their door and utilize them for other things. But sometimes that is just not they are just not the people that are going to help you in this particular time for this particular reason in the time like this, right? So um I hope that this has encouraged somebody tonight to what? Vote. Vote, 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 vote. I can't say that enough. Vote, 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 vote. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors, tell everybody, shout it from the rooftops, vote. Amen. In this election and in every election, utilize your power to vote. Um, and also I know that, so, for the younger generation, like my kids' generation, I have two millennials and a Gen Z, or either one millennial and two Gen Zs. I don't remember. But, that generation is not enough to just be like, well, your ancestors died, so you can have this right to vote. Like they need a reason. They want you to earn their vote. And so we need to give them the tools that they need to be informed voters so that they can do their research to understand why it's important for them to vote. All right. So vote, tell somebody to vote. If you're going to the polls, take somebody to the polls with you. Your church community. I know our church community, my husband is very, very much involved in getting out the vote efforts. And so, we're, doing efforts at our church and other churches within our community. Other faith organizations, are coming together. So let's get out here and do our part. And then, minding your mental in times like these, whatever your time like this is, be sure that you are intentional about taking care of your mental health. Unplug from some of this media stuff, the news cycle and all that stuff. take some time to yourself, get to know yourself a little better, understand what look back over some challenges that you have faced before, because you've had a time like this before. It might not have been this exact time, but you had something that happened in your life before that you pushed through, that you made it through, and you can look at yourself and say, you know what, I did that. I did that. And guess what? I did it before. I can do it again. So encourage yourself that you can make it. And I'm here to encourage you to do the same. So God bless you. Thank you for those who, whether you hung out with me live, or if if you catch the replay, remember to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, Benita Weathers 329. Subscribe to my channel. You can see all of the Mind the Mental episodes that I've done to date. And yeah, go check it out and share it, please, with others. So thank you. And Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I'm, I'm aging myself with that one. But yeah, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, I will be back with you next Monday for Mind the Mental Monday. God bless and take care. Peace.